Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Cheat Meal presented by Deep Fried Draft. My name is Brian Bosarge. As we always do this time every week, we're going to go over the games I watched of college football last week. We're going to preview the games I'm going to watch this coming week. There's also some trade news to talk about in the NFL, and a major prospect has now decided to leave a college program. We'll get to that in just a bit. First, so let's start off last Thursday, Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh senior offensive tackle Adam Bisnawati showed poor technique. He lacks awareness. I don't know that he's going to be a top tackle prospect in this draft. An already loaded tight end class, you can add the name of Pittsburgh senior tight end number 88, Scott Orndoff. He stretches the field. Nice hands, good speed. It was a huge night for Virginia Tech's junior wide receiver number 1, Isaiah Ford. 10 catches, 143, and a touchdown. Ford is now the Hokies' all-time leader in touchdown receptions. Made a great catch in the end zone in the fourth quarter of that one. Bucky Hodges, who we've talked about a lot, he was pretty much uncoverable in this game as well. 6 catches for 145 yards. He averaged 24.2 yards a catch. That's tremendous for a tight end. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Virginia Tech junior quarterback number 4, Gerard Evans. Evans rolled his ankle in the second quarter, but he gutted out an excellent performance in this game, 24-40 for 406 and 2 touchdowns. Evans is a JUCO transfer, got great size, 6'3", 238, and he's getting better every time I watch him. I wouldn't consider him a guy in this draft class, but one to watch for in 2018. Ohio and Toledo. I was really impressed by the nonstop motor of Ohio senior defensive end number 93, Terrell Basham. Basham was constantly disruptive in the game. He possesses great size, 6'4", 260. He could be a late draftee in this draft. Cal and Southern Cal. I thought Cal senior quarterback Davis Webb did not look very good in this game. He's constantly throwing off his back foot, which is something that just irks me to no end. Most of his plays or his passes down the field were contested. Ended up being contested catches. He did have one beautiful throw in the first quarter down the sideline that his receiver just out and out dropped. You still see a lot to like with Davis Webb, but he has plenty of flaws, as with pretty much every quarterback in this draft class. Louisville and Virginia. I thought Virginia gave a nice effort here, but they fell short. Senior running back Taquan Mizell showed more tackle breaking ability than I thought he had. He's got a chance to be a nice change of pace back at the next level with nice receiving skills to go along with that. Washington and Utah this week was a tremendous football game, and perhaps the best college football game I've watched this year. Back and forth the entire game. I was impressed by Utah senior running back Joe Williams. He retired or quit, however you want to look at it, after the first 2 games of this year. But after injuries piled up for Utah, he came back and he's run with a vengeance. He's going to have to answer questions, a lot of questions for NFL scouts about why he left, and rightfully so. You essentially quit on your team. Why did you do it? But he's got NFL skills, and he can make a team. For Washington, their college ball playoff hopes stay alive with the win. Pittsburgh State and Northwestern Missouri State. I had a mishap with the DVR this week and did not record Eastern Washington and Montana like I had intended, so I was able to add this game. It's a game between a perennial power in D2, Pittsburgh State, and the best team in Division II with Northwest Missouri State. I was focusing on Northwest Missouri State defensive lineman number 11, Colin Bevins. He's 6'6", 286. He lines up all over the field for the Bearcats, but his best position at the next level is probably going to be at a 5 technique spot. Bevins has nice hand usage and some burst. He didn't dominate the way you'd like to see somebody at Division II, and he's probably more a priority free agent type after the draft. Florida and Georgia this week. I thought Florida linebackers Jared Davis and Alex Anzalone were big factors in this one. They both flew around the field the entire game. Georgia's offense is just a big pile of nothing right now. They're going through growing pains with their true freshman quarterback, Jacob Eason. Tennessee and South Carolina, and if Josh Dobbs had any pro potential as a quarterback before this season, that's long gone now. Dobbs ain't playing in the NFL. He completed less than 50% of his passes in this one, turned it over 3 times. This was a huge win for South Carolina and something that, hopefully they can build on going forward. Marshall and Southern Miss. I've talked about 2 players for USM a lot, but it bears repeating. Junior running back Edo Smith, he can play at the next level. 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, and this one 43 receiving yards. He explodes in the hole. He's big in the pass game. He's a little undersized, but I tend to, for some reason, like running backs like that. So he's a guy to keep, probably not this year, but next year. Another guy we talked about is senior defensive tackle Dylan Bradley, 4 tackles and 1.5 sacks in this one. He's just been a wrecking crew for the opposition all year. He's undersized, but in the right scheme, he's going to be able to play at the next level. We said to look out for Marshall senior offensive tackle Clint Van Horn, and he must have got hurt early in the game because I didn't see him in the second half. Clemson and Florida State was another good game Saturday night. Dalvin Cook showed off his breakaway speed. He had 2 long TD runs in the second half. He's still my top running back prospect. He's still a top 5 overall prospect for me. Florida State's offensive line performance between penalties and pressures was one of the worst I've seen this season by any team. Something to monitor going forward, and perhaps even go back and look at tape. Deshaun Watson had a high number of passes batted down at the line of scrimmage in this game, and it's just kind of something that you want to keep an eye on, as he is the perceived top quarterback prospect in this draft. Washington State and Oregon State lost amongst the love that I've heaped upon Luke Falk and River Craycraft this year. It would behoove me to start talking about senior wide receiver number 9, Gabe Marks. Marks is a little undersized, only 6 foot 176, but he runs good routes. He wins contested catches. He has decent speed, I would imagine. He's a good candidate probably to be invited to the Senior Bowl, if not the Shrine Game. College football news this week. It was reported Monday that Tennessee junior running back Jalen Hurd is going to transfer. Hasn't said where he's going to transfer to. I would imagine be down to an FCS school for next year, but he's moving with the intention of playing wide receiver or tight end. I'd soured on Hurd as a running back prospect as the season has gone along. I just didn't think his skills translated to that in the NFL. I like the idea of him being a move tight end H-back at the next level. I think he has the body type for it and the skills. But I mentioned earlier with Joe Williams, scouts are going to question to death, why did you quit on your team in the middle of the season? If this is something you wanted to do, why didn't you stick out the last 4 games and then transfer, after the season? So with that said, let's start the preview for this week's games. This first game, by the time you see this video, will be over. On Tuesday night, 7 o'clock ESPN, Western Michigan and Ball State. Western Michigan at Ball State. We all know by now about Western Michigan senior receiver Corey Davis. But thanks to a friend of Deep Fried Draft, Jeff Risden of DraftBreakdown.com, and I now have 2 offensive tackle prospects to look at for the Broncos. Look for number 77, junior offensive tackle Chukwuma Okorafor. He plays the left side, and senior offensive tackle number 72, Taylor Moton. He mans the right side. For Ball State, look for deep sleeper senior wide receiver number 16, Kevon Mabin, 6'1", 220. Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. ESPN2, Toledo at Akron. It's going to be our first look at the Zips and their big junior wide receiver, number 7, Jerome Lane. For the Rockets this week, I want to focus on senior offensive tackle, number 74, Storm Norton. Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. on ESPNU, Arkansas State at Georgia State. First look at both teams this year. For Georgia State, I want to look for their big wide receiver, number 19, Robert Davis, who is on the Senior Bowl watch list. For Arkansas State, they don't throw the ball to him a lot, but last year, junior wide receiver number 84, Dejan Pashal, caught my eye, and I'd like to see more of him in this game. Also Thursday night, 8 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 is UCLA at Colorado. I had written down here on my notes, will Josh Rosen play? That question was answered today when UCLA announced that he will not play the rest of the season due to a shoulder injury. Colorado's hoping to continue their resurgence this year, and senior quarterback Sefo Lufau has really elevated his play and by proxy his draft stock. He'll continue to hopefully do that in this game Thursday. Saturday, 11 a.m. on ESPNU, Georgia Southern at Ole Miss. This game for me is all about seeing Georgia Southern senior running back Matt Breida. Breida has breakaway speed. I'm not sure if they have the talent on defense to slow down Ole Miss. 2:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network, BYU at Cincinnati. Gunnar Kiel, senior quarterback for the Bearcats, who I had written a DFD recipe up on earlier this summer. He's back into the starting lineup at quarterback, but is it enough to salvage his own life support draft stock? BYU has several late-round defensive prospects worth taking a look at in this game. 2:30 p.m. on Comcast Sports Network, James Madison at Richmond will be our foray into the FCS this week. And I want to take a look at Senior Bowl watch list name for the Spiders, and that's senior cornerback number 13, David Jones. Jones is listed as 6'3", 190. For James Madison, they put up 84 points last week against Rhode Island, so maybe they'll have some senior offensive players, 1 or 2, that might jump out. 3 p.m. on the SEC Network, Missouri at South Carolina. South Carolina coming off easily their biggest win in the Muschamp era. A win over Mizzou would almost lock them into a bowl game, which will be huge for Will Muschamp in his first season. Missouri's really struggling right now, but I would look for junior defensive end Charles Harris to still have some success as Carolina has struggled blocking off the edge this season. 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network, Iowa at Penn State. Penn State's best pro prospect is still a year away, and true sophomore running back Saquon Barkley. For Iowa, look for junior inside linebacker number 43, Josie Jewell. He's a tackling machine, but he will be tested in this game. 7 p.m. on CBS, Alabama at LSU. Seriously, just look at everybody in this game, because you could probably throw a ball onto the field and hit a guy who's going to play in the NFL. It's that easy. There's so much talent that's going to be on the field in this game. Just draft analysts will pour over this tape for the next few months just looking at all the different players. So yeah, that's definitely the game of the week. 9:15 on ESPN2, Utah State is at Wyoming. Wyoming's coming off their huge upset of Boise State, and they now have the inside track to play in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. Junior running back Brian Hill, 6'1", 219, is a prospect I've heard great things about, but I personally have not watched, so I want to do that in this game. And my good buddy Joe Everett of DraftScouts.com, he's a big fan of Wyoming senior center number 77, Chase Roulier, so I want to look forward to seeing him in this game as well. So that's all the games. That's the 11 games we're going to watch this week. So now let's get to the NFL news of the week, and the trade deadline has come and gone as of 3 p.m. Tuesday, but the big trade came Monday when New England traded Pro Bowl linebacker Jamie Collins to Cleveland for what will be a 2017 third-round compensatory pick that Cleveland will surely receive for losing Alex Mack last year. Collins is, however, a pending undrafted free agent, unrestricted free agent, which is one of the reasons that New England moved him, and he was said to be wanting big-time dollars. So Cleveland could be giving up a third-round pick for the equivalent of an 8-month rental player. I'm sorry, an 8-game rental player. We shall see. A trade we reported a couple of weeks ago when Niall Davis was traded to Green Bay for a conditional draft pick. Well, apparently the condition was he had to be on the roster for 3 weeks. Green Bay cut him today. No 7th-round draft pick for you, Kansas City. The Deep Fried Draft Rookie of the Week. I will preface this by saying that I chose the Rookie of the Week this week early. The Rookie of the Week this week is Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. However, I chose this before the Monday night game. Had I waited, the Rookie of the Week would easily be Jordan Howard of the Bears. So my apologies to Jordan Howard of Chicago. I got a little ahead of myself. So thanks for watching this week's edition of The Cheap Meal. As always, follow us on Twitter at Deep Fried Draft. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/deepfrieddraft. Watch us on YouTube. Search Deep Fried Draft there. Again, thanks for watching. See you next week. Good night.